Depending on what time you Google me, Spencer Liles is either a television director or a surgeon in Alabama, who totally didn't forget to hit the record button a second ago. Um, yeah, so let me think. It's funny. Most people would know me from voiceover, and that's funny because I don't think of myself as a voice actor. I think of myself as a full-time creative. Um, I have several endeavors that I do. So, and we'll circle into this, but I call it a ball of income. And I do obviously voiceover production. I direct voiceover. I do audio production, so I'm an audio engineer. I used to be a live audio guy too, so I did a lot of concerts, A1, A2 stuff. Used to work at the Eisman Performing Arts Center over in Richardson. Everything from mineral symposiums to operas over there. So I worked in audio production for a long time. I used to work in live events. I still do music production to this day. I'm an animator as well, and I'm just full-time creative. Very blessed to do that. I love doing that. In the way I always thought of it was, whichever thing is getting the most friction, I'll lean into it the hardest. Sometimes it's voiceover, other times it's directing, all that kind of stuff. So, but the way it all came together was very serendipitous. So I went to school at the University of North Texas, UNT, and they have a really, really good music program there. That's not to toot my own horn. That's relevant to the story because if I wasn't going to get into UNT, I wasn't going to do music production. I was going to go somewhere else, something completely different. Um, the backup was actually medicine. That was my backup plan. A little different than most other people have. Um,
Okay.
but I got into UNT. It was extremely tough to get in, and I did. And they told us I went in for composition, music composition. And they told us out of the gate, half you guys are gonna drop out of the comp department. And we are like, what? Is it that hard? They're like, well, not really. It's that half you guys are gonna realize that you can use your compositions. Like, if you're good enough to get in, you're good enough to work. UNT produces a lot of really good musicians. So if you're good enough to get in, good enough to work, you're going to change your degree to something else adjacent to what you want to be doing with music. So if you want to do music production, you might get a engineering, science, computer science degree. If you want to do business, you might like producing, you might get a business degree. You want to do therapy, you'll go do some of the social sciences, stuff like that. So I was like, not me. I'm going to stick with music all the way through. 2 years later, I did exactly what they said I was going to do. I changed my degree to, at the time, it was called RTVF, Radio, Television, and Film. Now it's called Media Arts. Because I wanted to be a studio composer, studio musician, the day player of musicians, or a jingle composer. There was a radio station on campus, KNTU FM 88.1 The One, and students could work there. So I go in, I just walk in. I don't recommend doing this with anybody else, but this is what I did. I walk into to the campus. I said, or to the station. I was like, "Who do I talk to about working here?" And I happened to be talking to the line producer at the time, Kitty Hancock. And she goes, "You talk to me." And I was like, "What do I need to do to work here?" She goes, "Well, like to go get an attitude here. Fill out this form, go home, and do this, and then we'll get an audition for you." Okay, so I did that, and I got a job as a DJ there, and the goal was to produce music for all the interstitials, PSAs, jingles, all the you're listening to KNTU FM 88.1 The One. That was like I was doing that stuff, but in so doing, I thought, hey, talking to this microphone is kind of fun. I was just learning a lot of audio production at the time. I was also in the North Texas television department where I worked as an animator and one of the directors of commercials over there too. Like I was not a partier in college at all. I was like studious, lame. I was just like working all the time because I wanted to hit the workforce just right away, and I wanted to have as many credits on my stars and my resume as possible. So that's why I joined the radio station. That's why I was working in television, and in the music department, we had all of these recording studios. So I just had all these big toys to play with, all these preamps interfaces and like Moog synthesizers, analog stuff, really cool stuff. So I was just getting all that flavor for audio production, and then voiceover was starting to become fun to me. I knew Funimation at the time was nearby, and the music thing was fun too, and it was all kind of becoming converged to one. And there was a actor by the name of Sonny Strait. He voices Krillin and Dragon Ball, Usopp in One Piece, Core Sensei, Mace Hughes in Full Metal Alchemist. Like Mount Rushmore of anime dubbing, right? He's been there for a long time. His studio was in the same town, Denton, Texas. So he had a flyer on the Media Arts building of a workshop, How to Dub Anime 101. And this is all going on. I'm like, oh, this voiceover stuff's kind of fun. It could be interesting. And I saw that workshop flyer, so I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. Let's see where this goes. And by the way, I've been acting since I was a kid. Like I'd done lots of theater and community theater all throughout my life. And it was fun. But I didn't think anything of it. I thought, surely I'll make it as a professional musician. Professional actor, no way, you know? Funny how that worked out. And I took his workshop and I did utterly okay. Like I was far and away, like just far and away middle of the road is weird to say, but I was like, made no impression by any means, except for one thing. I showed him a commercial that I animated for North Texas Television. That was my first ever voiceover credit because I animated it, I scored it, wrote it, and I did the voiceover for it. So I produced the whole thing, bottom up. And he was like, "You animated this?" And I was like, "Yeah, but the voiceover. What about the voiceover?" And he gave me his critique, and I thought, "Thanks, nothing of it." At the next workshop, he was like, "Hey Spencer, can I talk to you for a second?" "Yeah, what's up?" And go into his studio in this back room, the office that students don't normally go into, and he's also a incredible comic book illustrator, like legitimately really really good. Like he works with Weenie. At least the last time I was aware, he was working with Weenie Peenie on ElfQuest. That comic's been going for so long.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. The guy's like awesome, incredible artist. A true creative, I could say. He took me to his office and he was like, "Hey Spencer, here's my illustrations and my comics. Could you animate these?" And I was like, "If you broke them up at joints, yeah, I could." And he goes, "You want to work here as an animator?" I was like, I've taken one workshop with the guy before, and he's offering me a job at a studio, and I'm a senior in college, and I was like, yeah, I want to work here as an animator." So I did. And then in that studio, all these other workshops are coming through. So I was meeting people like Felicia Angel, Tia Ballard, Nathaniel Harrison, Neil Malley, Alfio Yu, Christian McGuire. These are all like different like mixing people or audio engineers or writers or directors or voice actors at Crunchyroll, Funimation at the time. So I was just meeting people like that, and I kind of realized I'm sitting in a gold mine here. I really need to lean into this. So I did. So I just like I was always at the studio when all those workshops were being taught. I would hear in the other room, like kind of osmosis, absorbing this information. Someone would be like, "Acting is reacting, not acting ahead of time." And I'm like, animating, I'm like, "Acting is reacting." Got it. Like I was just taking all this information in for free. And that's a long-winded way of saying that's how I fell into voiceover, or kind of how it found me. And from there, that was the career path that I focused on. And here I am now. What would that be? That was 20. I was a senior in college. That would have been 2018. So, God, going on, it's 2024, 6 years now? Yeah, 6 years ago is when it all happened for me. And I can get into the whole Sunny Straight being the X factor because that led to all kinds of other work later down the line that was super helpful for me. But it's just extremely lucky circumstances for me, I would say. Sorry, I ramble a lot.
Oh no,
Oh, you're fine.
you are fine. That's super interesting how it just kind of like happened, like you fell into it almost because you decided to take this workshop one day. Um but so like before all of that,
Mhm.
who was Spencer Liles? Like, did you watch anime? Are you like a comic book nerd or anything like that before
Some
this
comic books,
kind of stuff?
some comic books for sure. A lot of video games when I was growing up. A lot of Western animation. Some anime, but the very, very, very typical like Pokemon and Dragon Ball. The Four Kids One Piece. But at the time, as a kid,
Oof.
you didn't think of it as anime. You were just like just it's another cartoon. And then I think this is a common thread for a lot of people my age. Adult Swim was airing Cowboy Bebop and Trigun, and I was like, wow. It's not, again. I was a kid, so when I say this, no, I was a kid when I was thinking this. This cartoon has blood in it and adult language. That's weird for a cartoon. That's what I thought as a kid. Um, Music was the first true passion. Like that was the first thing, and it kind of got its hooks deep into me when I was about 13 years old, and that was like the first thing that I couldn't stop doing. Any chance I could do it, like just playing keyboard or guitar or any instrument every day, hours a day. Um, and I had the fortune of like knowing what I wanted to do. That thing did change. I can confidently say now I'm more passionate about voiceover now than I ever was about music then. Um, which is weird to think because I guess if I heard me saying that as a 16-year-old, he'd be like, "What are you talking voiceover? What?" Um, the funny thing is even to this day, I don't really watch a lot of anime. I watched more anime in college leading up to this. All the while, that whole story earlier of talking about, going working at Sunny's studio and working at the radio station and everything. I was watching more anime then. I barely watch anime now. I don't hate it by any means, but it's kind of like taking work home with me. I work from home for the most part. My booth's right there, so like, and my wife is the same way. We rarely talk about work, um, and I think it kind of keeps us sane a little bit. Um, that's not to say that other people who don't do talk about work all the time aren't. I just don't think we are we have the right constitution to be those people. The She got a big part in solo leveling, and the way I found out was from a post on X, like 4 weeks after she recorded on it. And I didn't know what solo leveling was. I was like, oh, that's cool. She's in another show. Like, like that. That's how I thought of it. And then she told me a few weeks later, hey, they're doing this like film premiere over in LA, and I was like, oh yeah, cool. Which one? Solo leveling? Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, sweet. Have a great time. Like we don't talk about it hardly at all. You walk into the front room of our house, you're like, oh, millennials live here. You don't think, ah, weebs live here. Like you don't think that at all when you come to our house. Again, I do like anime, and I still watch it every now and then. But I'm just extremely particular now because it just kind of feels like taking work home with me a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, and I like to escape when I watch things. And I'm just really bad about watching long things too. So like a show with multiple seasons, like oh my God, I just don't want to do that. And then a show multiple seasons with my friends in it, and like I want to escape, and all I can think is, oh, that's Rico, oh, that's Aaron, oh, that's Alexis. Like it's hard to do that for me. So like I guess in order to appreciate it more, I don't consume it as much. I don't know. I don't know if I think about it like that. By choosing not to watch it or anything, I just kind of gravitate away from it. Like I mainly watch sport, like I said earlier, sports. Play video games with a lot of friends who aren't even voice actors. But as far as who was Spencer Liles, um, I was the really weird guy that was the starting not tight end, JJ Watt. What was his position? Defensive end. Defensive end for my football team, and marched in the band. And I was like marching in the pads, covered in blood and sweat, like everyone else is in their marching gear. That was me. I was that guy. I went to a really small high school, in the middle of the boonies in Southeast Texas. We had 130 kids in our graduating class. I went hog hunting on the weekends, or deer hunting or duck hunting. Or we would do paintball wars or airsoft wars in the oil fields. That's what we did for fun. Called the Trinity Valley Authority. Hey, there's another gator in the highway. Like that's how I grew up. We had chickens in our backyard. I was just this weird nerdy kid, and I watched all these movies and like kids walking through metal detectors in their high school. And I'm like, why would they need a metal detector? Like that was so foreign to me. Or that you had classmates that you didn't know. I was like, what? You don't know every single one of your classmates like I do? Like, because I went to this, so I was in this small Southeast Texas town. And we all just got along. No one really bullied anybody. So talk about a culture shock when I moved up to ZFW and stayed up here, Dallas Fort Worth. Um, I was just this weird. I don't want to say nerd because that like nerds are cool now. I was kind of a dork, honestly. Like I was the one all my friends made fun of. In a joking way because I think they thought that like they've told me it's funniest when you're mad, when you specifically are the mad one in the friend group. So they just kind of like develop this tolerance. I don't know, this callous to just being the butt of jokes and everything. And I mean, it made me who I am today, so I'm not complaining by any means. I feel like I've had a very fortunate life. I'm not to get too philosophical on you, but like I was definitely the only creative in my family, so it was very odd. Like my parents for the longest time, they loved me and supported me, but like they just couldn't really comprehend what it was that I was doing. Um, we just bought this house, our first house. We're very, very, very fortunate to say that. My parents came up recently, and I had some work to do, and I was like, "Hey, how about you, mom and dad, you set up the couch right here and just watch what I do?" Because like I've tried explaining a million times, and they just didn't get it. Um, I think they kind of get it, but they just like they understood it once I showed it to them what it is that I do. Um,
Yeah.
so the fact that the upbringing that I had, and seeing what their son does now was just like this like incomprehensible to them. But again, sorry, rambling. That's who I was. I think that was the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. No, don't apologize for rambling. You're spitting out like nuggets of knowledge that is going to help somebody like in some way, shape, or form. Uh, which is kind of the whole idea. Like we're getting your story of who you were and who you have become, and without you know, those little details, it kind of like off puts the story, if
Right.
for lack of a better term.
Sure.
Um, so a little bit about voice acting. Do you remember like that first audition that you went to for whether it was a Walla or a bit piece or whatnot? And how nervous were you or were you at all knowing that you had experience behind a mic in like the radio station?
Interesting. So I'll answer that question in two parts, and it won't be another 20-minute answer, I promise. Um, the first paid gig I ever did, I got on castingcallclub.com. Oh, Casting Call Club. And it was for a comic dub of a Batman graphic novel. I just voiced some prisoners getting electrocuted in one of the Bane stories. There were a couple screams, $20, and I was like, "Oh my god, I made money doing this." Um, so that was the first one. And was I nervous then? Yeah, a little bit. I think I actually I'm supposed to say this. Recorded it at the radio station in their back studios. Like I used to record auditions um, in at the radio station while I was there. I remember getting sent auditions for. Well, I'm not gonna say the games. I don't think I'm allowed to say, but I used to record auditions and those back. Like I would tell the other DJs, like, "Hey, if you can hear like screaming down the hall, I'm just like doing this cartoon voiceover thing. Don't worry about it." And they're like, "Okay," like they were cool about it. The first Walla session that I had was it was crazy. So I also worked as an audio engineer, an ADR engineer specifically. For I think I'm the only person still that has done this, as far as I'm aware. I did a bit of a hat trick. Crunchyroll. So okay, I'm sure you guys know Crunchyroll and Funimation were both acquired by Sony and then never
Yeah.
consolidated, whatever. So I'll say Crunchyroll now. But
Yeah.
at one point in time, they dubbed like let's say 80 or 90% of their own shows in-house with all their recording studios. But they outsourced just a few shows to a few studios. Those studios included Sound Cadence Studios, Studio Nano, Orchestron 5000. I've engineered at all three of those studios. Like on the payroll, working there, getting credited and everything. So I had worked on a lot of shows before I ever got into the booth to do it for the first time for real. So like I was as exposed to it as you could have been before doing it for real for the first time, as you could have asked. So like my first Walla session was actually for my well, I see it as exposed. My first Walla session ever was super circumstantial. It was for Actor Song Connection, and I was engineering for Sound Cadence. One of the actors didn't show up, but they needed two guys, two girls for the Walla. So the director was like, "Hey, you want to hop in there and do it yourself?" And I was like, "Yeah," and I wanted to, so that's what I did. Did the voice acting, it was fine. And then the next show that I did voiceover for was for what was it? Log Horizon for Orchestron 5000. I'd mixed some audio for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot DLC 3, the Time Traveler DLC. I mixed the audio
Okay.
for that game. And after that, they're like, "Hey, can you hop in for this session?" Sure. And then it was like 2 years of nothing. It was just engineering and other work. Whenever I was at Sunny's studio, and so all these people come in. Oh, the person's an actor and a writer. Oh, the person's an actor and a director. Oh, the person's an actor and a subtitler, whatever. I thought, oh, you need to pick something adjacent to acting to give yourself as an excuse to be in the building all the time. So I was like, okay, I'll pick engineering. Um, and that's how I was able to like kind of bounce around, and your name just got around. It was really weird, like meeting like members of the Dragon Ball cast, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, I've heard of you," and I was like, I grew up watching you, man, but nice to meet you too." You know, like that was weird when I was like going to engineer sessions for the first time. Um, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, sorry. The directing or engineering rather was like kind of the one job that eventually was discouraged, I would say, for lack of a better word. We don't want engineers trying to see engineering as a path to acting. So I was kind of pulling my hair out because I had worked with so many directors engineering for them. I'd worked alongside of so many actors engineering for them. I was already credited on multiple shows, and I was doing voiceover for other things. And I was like, put me in, coach. Please put me in." So that was a really kind of a contentious thing that I was having to deal with. Um, and I finally stepped away from engineering, at least for anime. I still do audio production, but I stepped away from engineering for anime. And at the time, there was an actor by the name of Jordan Dash Cruz who he needed a place to stay, and we had a room open. So I was like, hey, come with us. So he did, and this was right during the pandemic. So remote recording was bottlenecked to only people who had remote recording equipment. I was an engineer, so I was uniquely capable. And Danny has been doing a lot of voiceover during the pandemic, and I engineered a lot for her. I was like, you think of it as like perks of dating me. We're dating at the time, engineer boyfriend, I'll engineer for you, whatever. So Jordan moves in. He makes a new Waller group, and puts me in the group, and I just stepped away from engineering, and then I started booking like crazy. It was like years of nothing to I'm getting 2, 3 sessions a week every week, and I was like, oh my God, I was just like tossed in with the sharks. And I knew I was like, this is an unprecedented time in voiceover with the pandemic, and by proxy, an unprecedented like structure for doing all this work. So like I was just tossed in right away. My first Walla session for Crunchyroll, Funimation proper at the time, was with Mike McFarlane for the show The Hige Story, and my first bit
Oh,
ever was like this snooty noble in a very wish-washy like flashback sequence. So it wasn't a very grounded voice. So I'm doing this like caricature voice, like nervous. I was nervous about that because it was Mike McFarlane, and I love Mike, but I didn't know him. I didn't know how to read him, and it was all remote. So it was just this distant, detached voice with all these circumstances. And I was like, oh God, I hope he likes what I'm doing. And it stayed in the episode and it was fine. Yeah, I was nervous about that for sure then. But the same way I was with music, I used to perform for several ensembles at UNT. Like as soon as, yeah, I get anxious, I get excited and nervous, anxious to like perform, and as soon as I start performing, like playing any of my instruments, um, it just goes away, and then it's like autopilot. At least that's how I can describe those feelings. So
yeah.
like I haven't been nervous in a long time for I don't know. It's always a little nervous for the first time working with a director. The first time there's some nerves there, but like and I strolling in there, crunchy, like, "Hey, Jonathan, what's going on? Let's knock it out." Like, just shooting the breeze with them, and it's super chill at this point.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So before we hit the record button, you were telling us a story about your role on
Daily
uh,
life, that's great.
Daily Life of an Immortal King. Yes, and how you got cast alongside one of your really good friends. Let's tell us that story.
Sure. So Crunchyroll had moved towards this new model, and they still do auditions. Don't get me wrong, they still do auditions, but they did this model where they called on the general auditions. And in those general sides, it was things like, give us your best old man, give us your best kid, give us your best, like, voiceover of monster, zany character, comedic relief, dramatic role, whatever, all these things. And that was for like, you're casting a show, you have your main auditions, but then you have a million side characters to cast, but you don't have time to audition everybody. Instead of just going off your best guess, we have this repository of actors that you can pull from. So I did that, and like a week after they did the system, Jerry Joel wanted to cast me in the show. I'd never worked with him before, ever. And my agent emails me, hey, they want to cast you in the show, and I was like, awesome, let's do it. And I found out from my friend Ethan that he had been cast as the main character in the show, The Day Life of the Mortal King. We were both like, what? Because of what these characters are, they have a very interesting relationship in the show. So I go into the session. Jerry is the coolest cat ever. If there's buildings on fire, you want that guy in charge. He's just like the most level-headed, chill, easygoing wavelength guy. And I go into the room and I shake his hand. He was like, "Hi, nice to meet you. Hop on in." Okay, so hop in. And normally, when you book a show, a recurring character or something like that, for any character for that matter, but like the more the character has to the story, the more the director will give you a rundown. Hey, here's the show, here's the plot, here's what we're talking about, here's what's going on, here's where your character is in their life, here's what's going on with the character, here's what we're thinking for the voice. Like they give you a kind of a basic rundown. So I go in, he's like, hop in. Okay, hop in. He's like, let's preview the first line. And I was like, I don't know. I have no idea like what this guy's about or what's going on and or anything. I was like, I don't know what voice he wants. And they preview the first line, and the way it works, I'm sure other guests have described how the dubbing process works. You have two monitors. One is the video monitor, which shows the actual animation. The other is the script. Well, it'd be like this on your perspective, left to right. So it'd be video monitor script, and you have the video and the script monitor is a horizontal monitor. Sorry, vertical monitor that shows the words. So you preview it once in the original language, and you kind of read along. It's highlighted in the script, and then you go in for the first pass. So I go in, they preview the first pass, and there's like an action sequence and they're yelling and stuff. So it's not exactly the easiest starting cue to establish the voice with. I had no idea what was going on, other than like what I read on the wiki of the show the night before. And the wiki was based off the webcomic, which is like thousands of pages along now. So like if you read, I'm gonna talk a light spoiler. Like if you read Attack on Titan's wiki right now and you got to like Eren Yeager, it would say like antagonist or like antihero. Like what? And then you watch the first episode. Well, he's just a sweet little boy. You know what I mean? Like my character had this like celestial level like status, and I was like, he's just some guy. I don't know what's going on. I go in and they preview the first line. He was like, let's do it for real. And I was like, I just jumped in. I was like, you must have heard something you liked in the general side or something. I was like, give me something, give me something. And he was like, yeah, heard your voice. Thought it was good. Thought it fit the character. And I was like, okay. So I made this like split second decision. I was like, I'm going to do my speaking voice. And if he likes my speaking voice, this will be like a super easy character to play. So like we did the first pass. I did my voice. And I'm like, talking about nervous. I did the pass. I was like, looking over at him. And it was like, I felt like you're holding back a little bit, but that's a good. The voice is in the right spot. Did another pass, and he liked it. And I was like, "Oh, great!" So he loved it. So great. Well, liked it, loved it. I don't know. He's so he's so chill, but he liked it enough to like recap the voice, and that's what I did. That's what you hear in the show. It's just my voice. Um, it's so weird hearing it back because I just feel like it's always interesting hearing which actors get to do that for the first time using their natural voice, and I feel like maybe I got to do mine for a named character a lot sooner than a lot of people would say normally because they usually have to do like kind of affectations or stuff to their voice for playing named characters in anime. And Ethan plays the main character in that show. Now this is a donghua, which is a Chinese anime. If you just watch it, you think it's all just anime. I think that word's kind of like it's funny to me. It's funny to me. People like in Japan will call SpongeBob anime because it's animation to them, but we defend a thing that we give them a value, then defend that value. Like no, it's only from what's made in Japan is anime. So whatever. Anyway, it's called a donghua, Chinese anime, and there is a genre. It's how to describe it. Cultivation. It's like their version of isekai. Like just as far as how popular it is, cultivation is a huge thing in a lot of like Chinese web novels and donghua, and it's like just like manipulating magic and being able to summon things and kind of magic as a character or even like its own theme in the show. Like it's a very interesting genre. Anyway, this show is a parody of like other donghua. So like it's just riddled with like Western pop culture references and all kinds of just chicanery and shenanigans and debauchery. And Ethan's character is ridiculously powerful, and he just wants to live a quiet life. That's all he wants. So in the show, here's the relationship. My character is a pretty powerful character, not super powerful. Ethan's character is like deity level power, but he wants none of the fame of being the guy who saves the day all the time. So he saves the day, then like tricks the world into thinking my character saved the day. And my character's like, I saved the day again. That's not even his voice. I don't know why I'm doing that voice. I do the voice of the character. Like I saved the day again. And he really is well to do and means well and wants to like be this paragon of hope and just values and virtue and just like do the right thing. But he's like being assigned valor. It's like not even stolen valor. It's like stolen valor by proxy. Like he's being given the valor and then being tricked like everybody else into thinking he does have the valor. There's a really interesting character to play with him, which is funny because his voice is also just his speaking voice, like a really chill version of his speaking voice for that character. Well, that's what he does. So it's really fun working on that show. And also, there's like 1 billion web comics of that source material, so that show could go on for years and years and years. We've already dubbed 4 seasons of it, and I'm just like more, more, more. I love it. I can't get enough of it. Very, very fortunate to work on that one.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, uh, before we switch over to sports, because I want to hear your hot takes on sports.
Oh no.
Um, of the vocal ranges that you have done, which would you say is the hardest for you to sustain over a longer recording session?
Extremely easy answer for this one. Blue Lock, when I voiced Asi Hinarahaya. Very high pitched voice. You hear my voice now, and then you hear that voice, and you're like, what? Um, Funny story. And I'll be quick about it. Well, that voice is because, I mean, I always warm up going into the studio and everything, but that voice was like, pull out all the stops, drink green tea, warm green tea the day of. Um, like don't really talk a lot the night before because I really push my voice as high as it will go naturally in that show, and that's why my voice cracks all the time in that show. The story about that one was Rigg, Jonathan Rigg pulled me in. I was doing a session for someone else. Hey, Spencer, you got a minute? Come here. Yeah, what's up? Going to the studio and I like dub like some businessman in some show. It might have been in Jahi. I don't know what show it was. Like that happens pretty often too, where like you're at the studio and they're like, "Hey, Spencer, you got a minute? Sure." And you go die in a show real quick, or like, I just need a bit. Record this bit. Okay, going to record. He goes, "Hey, how do you feel about doing a younger character voice?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not. I'm not Ryan McKeon or like Justin Briner, but I can drop the bass out of my voice and play with it from there." He was like, "I have a character in mind for you." I was like, "Okay," and I think he heard something in those general sides I mentioned earlier. So I come in and he's talking about Blue Lock. He's giving me the rundown. It's like Squid Game, but for soccer. But no one actually dies, but the dreams get crushed. They might as well be dead. It's really fun. And I was like, okay, okay, okay. He's like, there's Team Z. They're the main characters. The kind of the band of rad tags, derelict guys. I'm like, okay. He was like, and you're the youngest one. And I'm like, I'm the youngest one, but and from the actors I knew who were already on the show, there weren't that many. And I was like, at the time, I was like, but I have like a lower voice than most of these guys. What do you mean I'm the youngest one? He was like, I think you can do it. And I was like, okay. So then I do the voice, and my one of the first few takes I did, my voice cracked, and he was like, "I love it. Let's keep using that." So my voice cracks that character all the time, and it's really endearing. I think now it's funny, and I'm super glad he gave me that role because I think most people don't think of me as like the 15-year-old guy going, "Let's go," like yelling that over the course of the whole show. My typecast before them was like like thugs and perverts and creeps and monsters. Like that's what I got before, and then it was this guy, and it was like this sweet little this little bean character that I love so much. But it was definitely hard sustaining that voice throughout the show, just because it was so like high pitch. And I don't smoke or anything either because I was like, my voice is already low enough. I don't need it to plummet by any more means. And and I got to work on that show. But I think you have to be honest with yourself. You can have a great range. I'm not saying that I do, eh, but you have to know your strengths. And the higher pitch voice characters just aren't mine. I play the aloof best friend energy. That's kind of where I sit, or maybe like the young villain with something to prove or something like that's what I think of my own voice when I hear it. I don't think of this voice as like the 15-year-old and playing in the soccer show going nuts. That was definitely the hardest voice for me to keep up. There was one other time. It's really just a kind of a micro story. I had just gotten over COVID, and I really ought to not. Blah, 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 blah. I talk for a living. In hindsight, I should not have agreed to the session, but I thought I could do it. And I go into the session, and this is where my ignorance of anime really hurt me because I didn't know how yelly the session was. I think it was for Hell's Paradise, and I was like, hopefully it's not too yelly of a show. I just got over COVID. Go into the studio, and it was Mike McFarlane, and he explained it was the scene of like the 100 prisoners on the beach, but only enough boats to carry 25 of them. And a scene breaks out where like the guards are like, well, start getting on the boats. And we're not making two trips. And they're like, well, what do you mean? What does that mean? And one guy's like, this is what he means. And then he kills another guy, and a mania breaks out. So they just start killing themselves. And the guards are like, yeah, until there's about 25 of them left. That's who will make it on the boats. Like, this problem will solve itself. So it's just these 100 people on the beach killing everybody. And it was a 4-minute scene of nonstop screaming. And my voice was just starting to get back. And Mike's like, we're going to do this in 4 passes, but one take each pass for 4 minutes. So we're just screaming for 4 minutes. And it's bloody murder for 4 minutes. And we were like, like if you fought for your life for 4 minutes, you would get kind of tired. So the fact that your voice is giving up at the end of it will sound good. Um, he was actually really gracious about how we did it. Like we would do the take and then like wait for like 10 minutes and then do it again, wait for 10 minutes, do it again, wait for 10 minutes. Like, and the session was for 2 hours. So like that was just that one scene, but that was like I actually got lightheaded doing one of those takes because I was just screaming and just not breathing enough. Um, that was not fun. And oftentimes, whenever you do these Walla sessions, after the wall is done, the director's like, "All right, we're gonna break up for bits. Who wants to go first?" And kind of deliberate who goes first. But whenever Mike was like, "All right, we're gonna do bits. Who wants to go first?" I just said, "Not me," and I like marched out of the booth. I was like, "I need a minute. Like I'm gonna go to the kitchen and grab some tea. I'll be back, guys." There's actually that Chinese throat syrup that I swear by. What's it called? Hold on, I'm gonna butcher the name. It's this amazing, like syrup that you just take spoons of, and it just like makes the pain in your throat go away. Um,
Yeah,
Chinese.
I wonder if it's the same one that she told us about last week or the week before. I mean, um,
Um,
I got the name right here. It's
yeah.
a Nimjam Pe Pa Koa, which I'm sure I'm not. I'm doing a very standard American pronunciation of that. But yeah, that stuff's amazing. I'm gonna go get some uh, after that session. Came back, and whenever you're doing all the bits, everyone's kind of like, I hope I get all the bits. Hope I get all the bits. Hope I get all the bits. And sometimes you don't get a bit and everything. But I remember thinking to myself, I'll be a-okay if I don't get one bit right now because my voice is like kaput. I think I had like two, and I was able to manage. But email my agent, don't book me tomorrow or the next day. Like I need the reset, man. Like I don't want to hurt myself. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
for
That was the
sure.
hardest. That was the hardest individual day, but the hardest voiceover time was Aussie Hinarahaya.
Mm, awesome. I mean, not awesome that you like wore your
That
voice
your
out,
It
yeah,
but
was
your
great.
voice went out, but
so
see now
what's
you can
your
do Dragon Ball Z all day. Just yell.
Oh
yeah,
God.
yeah. I don't know how Sean and Chris like do that. It's just like, dude, and they've been doing it for years, but
Sonny had told me a story about how when they finally switched to digital and stopped recording on tape, he was so relieved because of all the remasters and the flashbacks. It wasn't easy to store tape, so he'd have to do these death screams over and over and over again. And Dragon Ball was one of those shows that it's great. It's got great content. Let's be honest. It can be a little fillery. Takes 10 episodes to get a fight across, which is
Super
awesome.
fillery. Super
Yeah,
yeah,
filler.
so, but like, I mean, there's a lot of like flashback, and Sonny was just like, "Oh my God, they finally went to digital. Like, we can let's please start pulling from the old episodes once we record this, and we just don't have to do it again." He was so relieved because they had to do those yells and screams again and again and again. Speaking of screaming, that's my dog. He's freaking out about something. Sorry.
oh
Oh,
no,
you're
you're
good.
good. Was it a couple of episodes ago? Somebody's cat joined us, just like right into the mic, dove
Yep.
into it.
I'm on a rolling chair. If I have the door open, he'll jump on me and he'll just push me out of the way.
Oh, that's awesome.
I have two dogs. And they're both very very big.
What kind?
Yeah, I'll show them for a second. Let's see. They'll
Yay.
come right into the room as soon as they open the door. Dogs. They're scrambling up the stairs. That's
Oh,
Piper, and that's Bosco.
nice.
Yo.
Come here, my boy. Come here, big boy. Bosco. Buddy. Aw. I think he's a Cane Corso mix. He weighs 116 pounds. Get off.
Good Lord. Yeah.
I can't hear you guys. My headphones are off. The tricolor. Piper, get back here. Piper, come here. Where's she going?
She's
Piper,
like,
come here.
Got jealous
we're
and
done,
left.
Dad.
Yeah, I got jealous and left.
Come here. Ow. Piper, can I get an ow? Do it. Piper, can I get? She's too stimulated. And sometimes if you go, can I get an woo? She'll talk to you. It's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Piper, I
Oh,
think she's a Doberman cattle dog pit mix.
oh wow.
Like three of the four dogs you're not allowed to have in an apartment. So anytime we had her in an old house, like, what kind of dog do you have? We're like, foxhound mix, like 'cause she was a tricolor. And then Bosco is, I think, Cane Corso mix or something. He's big. He's a really big guy, as you saw just a minute ago.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Thank you.
So
Literally rescued Bosco off the street. Literally, like, just saw him outside of one of our house or one of our houses. We used to rent this house over east of here, and Danny just saw him out the window one day, and she was like, "Spencer, there's a big dog out front." I was like, "Oh, let me go check him." And I went outside. I kind of make a habit. I try to approach dogs on the street and return them to their owners. Um, and I've done about 5 dogs in the last couple of years of like returning them to their owners. One time it was 2 German Shepherds, and I
oh
remember like
wow.
nervously I was like, "I hope these dogs are chill. Come here, dogs." You know, like I was getting a little foolhardy, and they were chill. And I thought Bosco was someone's dog, and he wasn't. He was like this big emaciated puppy that we just took in, and he won our hearts and the hearts of many others, and now he's ours.
Awesome. Awesome. So you mentioned earlier that you're like a sports dude. What's
Oh yeah,
your go-to sport?
baseball,
Okay.
baseball, baseball. Love it. And
Oh,
in order, it would go like this. It would be for me, baseball, soccer, football, basketball. And I'm all things Houston. So I don't cheer for the Stars yet because I'm holding out hope that the Houston gets a NHL team. I know whenever the Coyotes went to Salt Lake City, I was demoralized about that. But there's been talks about expanding the league, and Tillman Ferretta, the Rockets owner, has been sounding the alarm. I'm bringing NHL to Houston, so I'm just waiting, waiting, waiting for a. Oh, let's go! Yes, look at that. You got 3 of them. Let's be honest, the Dynamo is everyone's least favorite, but yeah, I love it. I love it. Yes,
my
what
wife
about
got that
Yeah.
for me for Father's Day.
I love it. What about you, Roger? Do you cheer for any teams in particular?
I mean, I'm mixed around, thankfully, but mostly New York teams.
Okay, okay. Are you a Mets or a Yankees fan? Or...
Yankees.
Okay, well they're
Yankees.
both in the
Oh,
playoffs. I was just curious.
unfortunately. I don't
You
like
got
the
Juan
Mets.
Soto, you got Aaron Judge. You guys are stacked this year. It's
We're
fine.
sucked every year and fail in the playoffs, so
Yeah, but you got Juan Soto this year. I really do think
well,
that's a big difference maker. I really do.
I
That guy's
do too, but uh, when we get to the championship, I'll be happy. Until then,
I mean, I did make a joke. It's like, oh, the only way the Yankees and Astros can play each other this year is in the ALCS. Where have I seen this before? You know, I'm very spoiled to say that. Oh man,
Yes.
what's this man?
and uh,
Are you guys in? Are you in Houston right now, Chip? Or
No, I'm in
no.
Chattanooga, Tennessee.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, I was born in Texas. I was born in Galveston.
okay.
Um, and my loyalties to sports just remained in Texas. All things Houston except for college football, and it's UT
Gotcha. It's
for
funny.
me.
The outside of our house, everyone has like their addresses painted into the curb, and they're on both sides of the driveway. So when we bought it, the previous owner had a UT address and a Texas Rangers address. I'm like, that's not my team or my alma mater. And here in my front of my house. What brought you to Tennessee? Was it work or college or what?
Uh, Neither. My father got a job up here, so we moved up here when I was about 5.
Okay.
Um, and so he moved the family up here, and I've been here ever since. I keep trying to get my wife to move back to Texas, but she doesn't want to leave her family. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Danny's family left California, and they had no desire to ever go back. I was in Southeast Texas and North Texas were kind of two different vibes, but I'm liking it so far. But I could see myself settling down years from now, and like the Pacific Northwest speaks to me. I would like to go live in Alaska or something one day. She
yeah,
misses the mountains, I miss the oceans. I'm like, we can have both of those things in the Northwest. Let's go, you and me. Come on,
yeah.
Juneau, Alaska's calls, something like that. I digress.
That's
What about you,
no.
Roger? Where you at?
I'm in Athens, Tennessee, about an hour outside of Chattanooga, but
Okay,
originally from New York. Raised there till 14 or 15, 14, I believe. But so I've been in Tennessee longer than I've been in New York. But
what brought you to Tennessee?
mom got a job down here as well.
Okay,
Yeah, moved down here and then sort of just been stuck down here for now. But
Yeah.
The hurricane, you'll have to forgive me. I kind of like if it didn't affect my family, so I kind of like turned it off in my mind. The hurricane wasn't too bad for y'all, was? Did y'all even get touched by it at all?
We got a lot of rain and
Rain.
wind, but that was about it.
Yeah.
Um, Luckily, where we live, we're surrounded by the Appalachian Mountains.
Mhm.
So when the storm hit, it kind of veered east and went curved around the mountains
Right.
Hmm.
and basically missed us except for rain.
You're like when you drive behind the truck on the highway and you see the bag of chips like going in and out of the guy's like the back of the guy's truck in front of you. Like
Yep.
that's your town. And then the hurricane's just going around it. You guys just got lucky. You guys got
Yep.
Yes.
good for you guys. Good for you guys. I'm glad you guys didn't get too hard hit too hard by it.
Yeah.
Hurricanes are
I
scary.
I
Gave
I
me a
was
hit by
nervous.
South of Texas for sure.
Yeah, it was that first day of rain was pretty bad. We were supposed to get anywhere between like 12 to 16 inches of rain, but the mountain got rid of all
Hmm.
Yeah.
that.
It was like 12 to 16 inches of rain and 65-mile-an-hour winds. And I
Yeah.
think we got like maybe 3 or 4 inches and
Oh wow.
at most like 20 to 25 mile per hour winds, which is still
Yeah, but
heavy,
it's a
but
storm. But like if you didn't know it was a hurricane, you wouldn't have known it was a hurricane kind of thing, right?
right.
Exactly.
That's just yeah. That's
Yeah.
good for you guys. Very fortunate.
Yes.
What was I gonna say? One thing I wasn't ready for in DFW was it snows here. It snows here. I would say yearly.
Oh
It's not a
wow.
whole lot, but enough to like shut things down and like it's not even like the ugly like this is the hard snow. It's not fun to make out. It's like sleets that looks like snow. Like we get snow up here. Um, it was actually like we're shopping for a new vehicle right now. We're down to one vehicle, and I was like, all-wheel drive is kind of a must,
Hmm.
because we're gonna have kids one day, and I definitely will want to have the option to have a four-wheel drive vehicle in the snow. The Subaru handled incredibly in the snow, but I was not ready for how often it snowed up here in DFW. Like reliably, yearly. This summer was brutal, but I'm curious to see what the weather's gonna. We've moved further west every time we moved, and now we're on the west side of Fort Worth. I'm curious to see what the weather's gonna be like out here. We're next to an active duty airbase. I record audio for a living, and there's jets flying around, and they're loud. They're so loud. I see Chinooks, I see C-130s. I can kind of start identifying like that's F-16, that's an F-22. I think I saw an F-35 one time. I was like, is that an F-35 really? Wow, whoa, that's like the most advanced one. Like I've seen Apaches. I've seen everything, dude, and they're loud. I can record. It hasn't been a problem so far.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah.
It is kind of cool
Uh
though, because like on the one hand you're like, oh, I gotta record. On the other hand you're like, Jets. Oh, it like brings out the boy in you. You know, you're just like, we're
Yes.
gonna go ripping G's
um
out there so loud. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, speaking of jets, do you do they have like air shows where you're at? Like we get yearly, like twice a year, the Blue Angels, and they come out and they do like this like flyover jet show with like smoke screen and like right stuff and all that. It's really cool. Is
I
there
don't know.
anything like that down your way?
So far, no. Like it is active duty, so it's like just don't want to say real fighter pilot. Like on duty fighter pilots, like training is what that is. Like
Mm.
so far, no, I haven't seen anything like that. The most I've seen is like a formation of four helicopters flying once, and that was loud. And I was like, I guess they're doing some drill or training or something, or even moving ordnance. Who knows? But so far, no like performative jet shows. There's also a private airbase nearby, so like some people take out like all kinds of other vintage planes I've seen flying around. I saw a Flying Fortress once, and that's when I was of all funny jets and C-130s, whatever. The Flying Fortress, I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my god! I was like, you know, I feel like every boy turns into the dinosaur or astronaut or construction or like World War II history. Like, like which fiend type are you? And me, I was like World War II history, hardcore. So when I saw the Flying Fortress, I was just like, use that as your thumbnail. I couldn't believe it. So cool. But I don't know. That must be like a private collection. I don't even know how that works. I don't know who has one of those and flying those around.
Yeah.
There's also a airbase museum nearby. And that's pretty
Oh,
cool.
nice.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah. I've actually I did a live event there once. I was setting up a video wall for something. Um, that was really cool because they have like just a bunch of planes inside their this huge hangar. They have a
Hmm.
they have an SR-71 Blackbird engine inside. And again, you just like so that was the weird thing about the live events industry. It was like the places it took you. One time I worked a wedding at the Fort Worth Modern Art Museum. They took out the whole Modern Art Museum to do a wedding. Oh my God. Or I've done
Wow.
weddings in breweries. Um, one time I worked, no, I can't say because I had to sign so many like security disclosures.
Yeah,
Just,
no, 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 no. We do
it
not
was
want you to get in trouble.
the feds. They worked in, they worked with the military. That's all I can really say. But
Yeah.
we went to
Yeah.
one of their manufacturing plants. It was just like an employee appreciation thing. Like set up a stage and video wall, but it was just so much security just to set this up. And that was a crazy day too. But I haven't done really live events in quite a while. I'll still play piano for this theater that I work with every now and then. It's kind of it's a live event ish. I'll play
Yeah.
piano for a cocktail hour for a wedding.
Yeah.
Those are way chill. Those are super chill. Those aren't like Daisy Chain, a million J masses together and do a show. That's a whole different ball game.
Oh, for sure.
What do you guys do for work right now?
I work at a law firm.
Necessary?
Yeah.
Super.
um, I was like, I work in banking, so the not fun side of banking.
Yeah.
It's a fun side.
Uh, so I
Yeah, the one that makes money.
Oh, okay. Oh, don't say that. Please don't say
yeah,
that.
so I like to say that I'm not an attorney. I just work for them.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm the same thing. I don't work for the big wigs that make the investments. I just chill out there and
That's a
talk
que-
to people.
that's a question I like asking people. It's like, what are all the jobs you've worked? Because I've had some weird jobs too, leading up to this.
Oof.
I used to be a line.
Uh,
My first job ever, I was working with the custodians at the high school. Well, at the school district. When I was 16. I was working with all the custodians to get the school ready. It's like, scraping off the flax off the floor with
mm,
stripper and then putting re-waxing the floors and getting all the gum off the bottom of desks, all of that, and like cleaning out all the old locker space and everything. That's my first job I ever had. Then I was a substitute teacher. While I was in college, during my breaks, when the school years didn't quite line up, I would substitute teach at the same school district. Another job I had, and the one I had for a long time, I worked at the UPS airport. I'm not a plane guy, so I don't keep talking about planes, but I worked at the airport. You have to be airport for UPS, and I was like certified in all the vehicles out there. So like tug, pushback, K loader, de-icing, belt loader, um, air marshal, wing walker, they called them. I was just out there uh, doing all kinds of stuff. And that job was weird because it was a part-time job to give you full-time health benefits.
Oh,
They had like
nice.
Blue Cross, and that's what I worked to have free time to do voiceover. So I neglected to mention that earlier in the story, but there was a huge chunk of my life, and I was like working at the airport all day, come home, and then I get into my closet and like audition, audition, audition. Like I remember I mixed when I mixed the Dragon Ball audio for Chris. Um, for Dragon Ball Z. I have to always say the name out loud because I can't remember what it was. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot DLC 3. That was
Okay.
one of the freezes. Again, the snow that North Texas occasionally gets, was a really bad freeze, knocked power out. I went to my friend's apartment and I just like he took me in. I was like, I need power right now. I've got the biggest gig I've ever had in my life. He's like, come on over. So I just took my mixing setup and I commandeered his kitchen. And I just for like a week, I was just not as big as my like 3 days. I was in his kitchen with my monitors and headphones and everything, just mixing this audio. And I was a horrible guest. He was an amazing host, and I just ate all this food and like was like just working, 7 a.m. to midnight, just mix, 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 mix. And I did all the audio. Never sent an invoice in my life before. And and Chris Sabat was like, yeah, just send me the invoice. And I was like, wait, invoice? Oh no, I thought it was like a fixed rate. Oh no. So I called my friends and I was like, hey, I can't tell you what I worked on, but it's adjacent to this. How much money would you work on if you worked onto this? Or would you make? And I kind of got the answer together. I still probably undersold myself. I sent him this invoice and I was like terrified. I was like, give me too much money. He's going to hate me. I'm not going to work with him again. He was like, cool, got it, thanks. And just sent me the check. Like it was no big deal at all. And then I was working at the airport sometime later and he called me and he was like, hey, Spencer, are you busy? And I was like, I'm very busy, but if this is an offer of some kind, I can be extremely available at a moment's notice. He's like, we need to talk. I can't do the story without like mimicking Chris at all. And I went to his house. I met him for the first time, and we're talking. And he explained he was working on this game, and he needed like a whole extra like full time guy. And he just said, "I want you to quit your job and work for me." Like he just told me that. And everyone who like makes that leap to full time, whether it's VO or creative work, they talk about that leap of faith. Like you don't know if it's gonna work out. I joke that like it took Chris Sabat telling me to my face, "I want you to quit your job and work for me," and I was like, "I don't know. Is there gonna be enough work?" Like as if like, dude, yes, there's gonna be enough work. You'll be fine. And I was stupid about it. I didn't quit the airport. I just went to the morning shift. So I was like going into work at like, well, night shift or morning shift. I was going into work at like, you know, 10 o'clock at night, working until 5 o'clock in the morning, sleeping till 10 o'clock in the morning, getting up in engineering till 6 or 7, 8 o'clock, and doing it. It was not sustainable. I kept that up for like a week, and then I went to UPS and I was like, I'm out of here. I'm done. Goodbye, guys. It was just funny, sad, unfortunate for them because the day shift guys were sad to see me go because I was like certified and everything. I was just this young go get 'em guy, and you're like, what a good luck in your endeavors. So the night shift guys were like, oh, we got this new young guy who's like certified and everything. He's gonna be like the utility player for all the different teams out there on the ramp. It'd be great. A week later, I'm quitting and I'm using all my vacation days. So tomorrow's my last day. Bye. Like like that's what I did. There. And let me back up for a second. The way they handled the pandemic and a lot of information they neglected to tell me, it did not make quitting that job very hard, at all. Like to be completely frank with you. So I was like, the $1 billion corporation will be fine. I'll be replaced. They're not. I could die tomorrow. They're not going to attend my funeral. Like I shouldn't need to feel so guilty about quitting and getting out of here. And I haven't looked back. It's been great. But they gave us UPS or Heroes charms for our little vests. They did that. At least sorry, I don't be too bitter about it. That's a whole nother.
Oh no.
Unless you want me to get better about it, and I will.
So I love your Chris Sabat voice. So everybody that we have talked to that has worked with Chris has their own like rendition of his voice, and I love every one of them.
Let me
It's
tell you the
like
one thing. Let me tell you the one thing he does. When he rambles, his voice plummets into the abyss. And like he'll be like, yeah, man. So I got this client, and they wanted me to do this thing, and I really didn't know about that. And I was kind of, anyway, like it just plummets. You're just like, what are you gonna say? What? Oh yeah, yeah. Let's work on it. Great. He's a bro. He's a dude bro, but we all love him. Hi, Piper. My dog is
oh,
spending
you're
the audience right
fine.
here.
He's yeah. She's getting loving.
Yes.
Um,
Oh, that's great.
so we kind of glossed over sports for a second there. Uh,
Hmm.
who's winning the World Series this year? Come on.
Uh, probably
The Dodgers.
probably the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Because of the addition of not just Shohei, but also Yamamoto and Teoscar Hernandez, and
Yeah.
not to mention their already stacked lineup with all the guys he got there. Probably them. They haven't proven it so far. I mean, you could say the 2020 season, but there is and isn't an asterisk with the 2020 season because it was a short season. Everyone can say that, but let's be honest. I think people just kind of like dogpile the Dodgers because it's easy to dogpile them because they have all the money in the world. So then when they won the short season that we all agreed to compete in, it's the most illegitimate one. It's like it doesn't matter what. Like if it was the Padres who won the 2020 season, Dodgers fans would be telling them, oh, and Mickey Mouse season not a real season. Like if it was the Red Sox, the Yankees fans would be going down their throats, not a real season. Pick any team, whatever. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say, not as any team can do it. Not as impressive in 2020, given like the longevity of the season versus it's a different ball game when you have healthy pitchers going 162 games and who can shove out there in October versus we went for 60. A
Yeah.
much shorter
Yeah.
season. We're talking about way less starts for these starting guys. So probably the Dodgers are gonna win as far as who's going to the World Series and the American League. I was like freaking out today. I was watching the Braves Mets because I like the Diamondbacks. I just think it's cool when they're in the playoffs. But didn't make it, obviously. But that was a ridiculous. Do you guys know about that? The situation that was going on with the three-way tie for the two spots and the for the wildcard
And
spots.
yeah, I
Yeah.
sort of was paying attention to it, but it was happening while at work,
Here-
so I didn't get to
Here's
be
the
in.
rundown. At the end of the season, the Diamondbacks, the Mets, and the Braves all had the same record, but there was only two
Yeah.
spots that were available to them. So the way the win record worked out was the Mets and the Braves played a doubleheader today, and
Yeah,
the winner. So basically, if you won a game, you were in. And the only way the Diamondbacks were going to get in is if one of those two teams swept the other team. So the Diamondbacks are just sitting there waiting, hoping that one of these teams sweeps the other teams. And that's not what happened. They split the series. So the Mets made it in and the Braves made it in. But I was like, I've never experienced that kind of a tiebreaker scenario to get into the playoffs. As far as who's making it into the American League, sorry again, probably the Yankees, but they need to prove it to me. But they've proven it to them in the regular season, and they've proven to be inconsistent in the postseason of the last 10 years. So who
yep,
knows? Again, they've got some new pieces here. Garrett Cole looks great. Obviously, Juan Soto, Aaron Judge having an MVP caliber season. Everyone likes to, again. They're popular and he's great, so they like to find reasons to look for cracks in the armor. Truth is, he's an exceptional player. We'll see about that. The Astros, as much as I like them, like it would be a scrappy season. They've had a horrible start, obviously, but they've had like the best record since like what was it, like July 10th. They had the horrendous start. Everyone counted them out, and then they've been the best team over a long series since then. So it's like, in my eyes, if we can make it past a three-game series, mathematically speaking, if you give them 5 games, they're going to win 3 or 4 of those games. That's what they've done all season since July 10th. So it's like, oh well, the playoffs is all 5 to 7 game series. So statistically speaking, they have a pretty good shot. Jordan just hurt his knee, so that's a big iffy situation. I'm really curious about who the starting rotation is going to be because Verlander's not looked like he was gonna not looked good since his return from injury.
No.
And I love Houston, but I don't think they're the best team in the American League. As much as it hurts me to say that, like if I'm just like, getting paid to, I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting paid to be on this. Like just say things, guys. Whatever. That's the audience. If I was trying to be objective about it, probably the Yankees, Dodgers, World Series, which would be cool because it's like the two biggest cities, the two biggest teams everyone knows. Um, that would be cool. Although, like my scenario that I'm hoping for would be Astros beat the Yankees in the ALCS. Altuve is the ALCS MVP, and then the Astros and Dodgers play in the World Series, and then oh, what's his name? The guy we just got from the Dodgers. We picked him up off they
Oh,
DFA. Um, Jason Hayward.
yes,
Like,
Jason
yeah,
Hayward.
and then Astros beat the Dodgers, and Jason Hayward's the World Series MVP. That'd be like the most poetic. Like, that would solidify the dynasty. I don't think it's a dynasty. I think you need three. We've only got two. I don't think we haven't had a dynasty properly in 20 years. I know the Giants won three, but they didn't. I don't think they made the playoffs. The other two, they won the World Series, didn't make it, won the World Series, or they sucked. Won the World Series, sucked. Won the World Series, sucked. Won the World Series. It was kind of this weird undulation. The Astros have been great over their 7 year tenure. Obviously, a little bit of controversy in the first 2 years.
yeah, a little
Here nor
bit.
there. A little bit. Neither here nor there. But
Yeah.
okay, but hold on, hold on. Who do you think is going to the World Series? Either both guys, go. I want to hear what you guys think.
Oh, definitely Dodgers. Like there's no doubt about that.
No doubt.
Um, for the Dodgers,
Uh,
no,
No.
not
I,
this
I,
year. No.
I think there is some doubt. Secretly, I'm rooting against them as much as I like Shohei Ohtani. Like, I want to see him win. I just don't want to see the Dodgers win
Yeah, I
I
get
mean,
because,
that.
I don't want to see the Dodgers win
well,
either, but
the thing that I don't understand with the Dodgers is they offer these guys these like max deals, right? And
Mhm.
they offset all the money until after they're retired. And my brain tells me, why don't other teams do that? Like, you know, if we can give you 10 years, 700 million, but we're only going to pay you 7 million while you're playing, the rest of it is offset. Like any team could do that and have the best players.
I think a big part of it is like market value. Like,
Mhm.
like no one cares about the Pittsburgh Pirates as much as the Dodgers. Like, there's probably a whole lot more, you know, Betts jerseys in Europe than there are any Pirates players. Like, Cleveland isn't as big a town as Los Angeles. Like, there is like something to say about like the Yankees uniform is like the most iconic just because they've been around the longest. So like if you just
Yeah.
sign with the Yankees, like you'll probably make tons in jersey sale. That's one factor. But also, for the longest time, I'm like, oh, I wish baseball had a luxury or not a luxury tax, but like a cap. You can't spend more with the cap, or like at least a minimum. So we don't have another Chicago White Sox situation. Like
Yes.
you have to at least spend a little bit more. But like on the win, while it won a cap, baseball's also the only sport where we haven't had a team two-peat in the last 24 years. Hasn't happened. So we're like, the Dodgers, they're going to spin, they're going to spin, they're going to spin. It's like they've won once in the last 24 years, despite all the spending. So I'm like, as much as I hate it whenever like Otani and then Yamamoto went to the Dodgers, and Teoscar Hernandez went to the Dodgers, I was like, oh my God, again, again, again. It's like, but but they haven't won. So like it's annoying to see those players go to those places. So I think like, okay, so why don't they win? Well, there's the whole bought versus raised argument. I mean, there's just something to say about like postseason experience and team chemistry and everything. Big reason why I think the big reason why Trevor Bauer wasn't signed by anybody. Like even all the things that you're being accused of or whatever aside, even if you're completely innocent or not, even if you are completely innocent, you're just trouble in the locker room, man. You're
Mhm.
just a disruptive force. No one's gonna want to work. People are gonna be stressed to be in the same room as you. I don't want that mentality before these guys go out onto the field and play. Like it's just not. There's a diminishing return there. It's just not worth it.
Yep.
So like, just how much team chemistry can there be when there's this just bigger than life, branding. Everyone's getting paid this mega money, but they're getting brought in on a whim and just out there in a few years again anyway. I don't know. I don't know what it is. You would say on paper, how come the Dodgers aren't winning? Then you have like 2019 Nationals, who just the power of friendship got them through the World Series and they did it. Like baseball is real, and that's why I love baseball. It is so, and I also love it because there's the most of it, and I love having it on all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why. I mean, it's generally true that teams that spend more win more, but it's kind of scatter plotted, but it doesn't really like keep going up when you get to the championship. It's like it kind of like the Mets. I think have the highest payroll of anybody, and they were like barely made it into the playoffs this year.
Well, they're paying a lot to players that aren't even playing for them right now.
That's
They're
just poor
playing.
management. Yeah, that was just poor
Yeah.
contract management. What about?
Yeah.
Did you say
Uh,
Jeff
I,
was going to go to the World Series?
I think in theory it's going to be Dodgers Yankees. Uh, to be honest, I would love it to be um Astros Braves just so we can beat the
Ah,
snot out of the Braves.
yeah.
I despise the Braves. Uh, and I say that lovingly because most of my friends around here are Braves fans.
Hmm.
I'm the oddball out that I
Sure.
live in Tennessee. We're an hour and a half away from Atlanta. And so most everybody are Braves fans,
Mhm.
or when it comes to like football, Titans or Falcons fans. And
Uh,
I'm over here and I'm like, I'm like yelling at the top of my lungs at the Texans and Astros
mhm.
nightly.
Dude, man, so I've made a habit to travel and see games in person. I don't know if I'm gonna be
Mhm.
one of those to see all 30 stadiums. But I've seen a few now. So I went to a Braves game in 22. Yeah, it was actually my bachelor party. And it was a Saturday night Braves Astros primetime baseball packed house. And dude, I was doing my research about all the Braves cheating scandal history. I was ready to go to war with these fans. I was like, I'm gonna be cool if they bring it up. I'm kind of guns blazing. Dude, those fans were. It's funny that they were the chillest, most easygoing. No one gave us a hard time. People were like, "What are you doing out here?" Like my bachelor party. Like, "Oh, let me buy you a beer." Like everyone was just super cool about it. And then the Braves won in extra innings in this big epic affair. And I was like, "All right, let's get out of here." It wasn't crazy. We're walking out of there. Um, And there was this one just idiot in a Houston jersey saw the four of us in Houston gear walking by while there's thousands of people pouring onto the parking lot, and he goes "F Atlanta," like while we're walking by because I think we were gonna go out to bat for him. And I said, "You're an idiot. What are you doing? What are you? I'm not gonna fight for you. Are you trying to start something? What are you doing?" And he
Nope.
was like, "Oh, right." He just got discouraged. Like the one person acting like an idiot was the guy in the Houston jersey. Um, but I think, God, this it's just that's just dumb social media talk. Like, oh, the Red Sox fans are the worst. Uh,
They are the
but
worst.
every team's got bad apples. No one's gonna. I'm not gonna be reductive and take an entire populace of people and like I don't hate teams. There's players I don't like, but I never hated teams. I was born in Houston, grew up in Southeast Texas. I was happy the Rangers won the World Series. I thought that was cool. I thought that was cool. I didn't hate the Rangers. I would hate the Rangers. That's like it's reductive. It's tribalistic. I don't care for that. Like it's fun to root for certain teams. It was funny because I have a lot of family in New Jersey, and they cheer for all the Philly teams. So like just like my secondary teams were always like the kind of Philly teams just because it was fun to be with them whenever those teams won. So when the Astros and Phillies were playing each other, I was like, oh, I kind of can't lose. Um, and then I saw like all the social media on of the again here I am talking about like don't be reductive, and I would see like social media of like the Astros tried to get catering from this one restaurant. This restaurant like laughed in their face and refused catering, and I was like, they're making it kind of hard to like the Phillies right now. But I get it. It's a very passionate sports city. But I don't hate like fan bases or anything. There's one team I would like to win if it was not the Astros. I think it would be called the Royals one, and here's why: because Will Smith played for the last three World Series champions each of those years. So he played for the 22 Braves, the 23 Astros, and the 21 Braves, 22 Astros, 23 Rangers. He was on
Yes.
the winning World Series each of those years, and he's on the 24 Royals. So it'd be really funny if he won four World Series in a row with four different teams. That'd be really cool. That's like a super superficial reason to cheer for them, but I think that'd be
Yeah.
cool.
That'd be pretty cool. Has that been done before?
I
I
I
don't.
don't think so, but I don't know if it has.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's one of
yeah.
those. I'd have to do some research.
So that's one
Uh,
of those deep dives in baseball.
It's like
yeah.
the backup bench player. How many rings did he get when Jordan was playing? Like he
Yeah,
just got all these
exactly.
championships just by being on the roster.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be the
Uh,
dream job. Don't get to play, but get all the glory.
right.
Going to a bar, you have all these rings on and everything, but you're just like, yeah, I was just like I practice them sometimes. Like they're asking like
Yeah, you know.
big hot shot, you're not.
The two
Yeah.
minutes that Jordan was off the court, I was there.
That's an important job too. It is.
Yeah.
Just don't turn the ball over. You're good.
I totally.
I got one rebound and two steals my entire career. And I got six rings. Um, so you are often called a jack of all trades, right?
Hmm.
Um, but in my research, I heard about this place called Extra Terrible Studios.
Uh-huh.
Uh, tell me about Extra Terrible Studios. I love the name.
So we did too, but clients didn't. So that's a funny story. So Jason Lord was a guy I met while working with Sonny Strait. He had come. He's one of those guys that had come through those workshops, and I guess I made enough an impression on him then. It was him and a guy named Ethan Gallardo, that guy who plays Wong Ling in the show. Those two were starting a new studio called Extra Terrible Studios, and it was just a kind of an all production media house. Is what we called it. We did anything and everything we could. It was just a bunch of people who like in their free time was trying to do work when and where they could. So demo productions, visual reels. I was an animator there, so I did animation. We dubbed a lot of weird Chinese shows, like smaller, like YouTube stuff. I say smaller. I shouldn't say smaller. Just let's be honest, YouTube is huge. So like to have a show on YouTube isn't to say that it's small. With this weird idea that it has to be on like a one of the streaming services to be big. My point is, we had a lot of shows come through. We were trying to get an anime here or there. Could never quite pull that off, and a big part of it was clients didn't care for the name, and the tagline was a name so terrible we have no choice but to be great, or something to that effect. Um, Actually, one of my animations that I made called Flying Saucer (ET) shorts. went on to do a couple of film festivals, and my job there was just like he was like just animate, just make stuff, put it on the channel, and it was very much like cast a wide net, see what we feel pulling and reel it in, like just whatever works then is what we're gonna do. One of the things we did, we had a game show called This Controller Sucks, where we made bad video game controllers, but then made people compete on the bad controllers. So one of the controllers was an SNES controller, but the buttons and the mapping was just exaggerated by like a factor of like 20. So it was like an 8 foot wide controller, and like rights over here, lefts over here, ups, down. So people are like trying to play Mario, and they're like slapping this giant dumb controller. One of them was a Super Nintendo controller, but all the controls were mapped to light switches on a drywall. So you're trying to play like Mario, but you're flipping light switches. And like we like made a game show. We took that game show to a couple conventions. Like we did a little bit of everything, man. It was kind of crazy. So the studio rebranded now to Studio Topaz. Is what it does now, and it's not gonna say mostly the same, but they kind of do a lot of similar work. Demo production. I still do some demo production with them. One of the shows we just dubbed was a show on YouTube, so we can find it in one place called Supercars, Supercars cartoon. We did 104 episodes. It was so much.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
yeah, I play a character named Officer Lake, and the voice I did, I would not have done that voice if I had known I was going to be. Like, I remember when I found that YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel profile picture was my character, and I was like, am I the main character? I don't think I'm the main character. No, I don't think surely not. Like, because I'm not in every episode. I can't be. I think Barry, the cat, is, and it's a show about cars with superpowers, and they save the day, and they work with people. All the people are like mostly these animal people. It's a cute, fun show. But anyway, that's what Studio Topaz does, and Jason Lord still heads that, but he's also one of the directors at Crunchyroll now. He's a full-time director there. So
Oh, nice.
yeah. But Extra Terrible Studios was the original name of the original studio. It's where actually I met my wife. That's how I met Denny. There was a
Awesome.
Joel McDonald directing workshop, and I love my wife to death because she's like super. She's very humble, and she doesn't like kiss up or suck up or not a manufacturer's attitude, nothing like that, right?
Yeah.
So she had already worked with Joel multiple times. And that's not to say that people at this workshop did do any of that. They were excited to see Joel, so they do the workshop. I went to the studio because they needed an engineer there just in case. I really didn't want to go. I was like, fine, I'll go to the studio. So go in, met Danny, and there's kind of like this thing where like names get around in voiceover. She was like, I'm Danny. I was like, Danny Chambers. Oh yeah, I've heard of you. Like, oh, Jade Saxton, Felicia Angel, Jay Ballard. Danny Chambers. Like I just kind of know the names. I knew of the name Danny Chambers. I never met the person. Thought I met her then. Oh yeah, I'm Spencer. Okay, you have the workshop. Yeah, come this way. Didn't think anything of it. Um, After the workshop, they went to this pub down the street, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna go. You wanna go?" And I was like, "I should do like that pub. I'm gonna go." We go to the pub. All the actors there were like kind of sitting around Joel because he's the guy they were there to see. But Danny, like I said, had worked with him a couple times. She wasn't like there to see Joel. So the only spot next at the table left was next to her. So I just sat down. And they're all talking. And me and Danny were just like, so what's your deal, huh? So we just kind of started talking. And then talking turned to flirting. And then we were like, I think this girl got the hots for me. Like it just kind of turned into that. Um, that's how we met. And then, we stalked each other on Facebook shortly after. And then there was a play I was in. I still do theater to this day, but there's a play I was in called The Importance of Being Earnest. I was playing the main character, Jack Worthing, and it's actually her favorite play. And she goes, "Hey, I see you're doing a show. I'd love to come see you." And I saw on her Facebook that she was doing a show, a production of Beauty and the Beast. So I was like, "I'll make you do it and come see my show if I come see your show. Deal." And I was like, got it, right?" And then we just started each other from there. And it was after that show that I asked her out, and that was going on 6 years ago, 6 wonderful years ago. And
That's awesome.
sorry, you're like, tell me
Yeah.
about Extra Terrible. Like, let me tell you about my wife and how much I love her. Like, this is what it turned into.
No, no, that's
That's great.
awesome. Yeah.
I really didn't think I was gonna marry or date a voice actor for that matter, but Danny just it sounds so cliche. She wasn't like the other girls, but she really was. Like for the reason I was talking about earlier. Like I don't want to talk about voice acting at the house. I don't want to do that. Like like there's more
Yeah.
pictures on our phones of our dogs than are of each other. You know, we don't take that many photos with each other in public because we're just very much like live in the moment kind of people, and that's just what we do.
I see that's I am the same way. Like if you look at my picture roll on my phone, like I have probably 300 pictures of my kids
Mm.
and maybe two pictures of my wife and I.
Listen up, audience. That's the way. That's the correct way to do it. I can speak for everybody. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I largely
Uh,
resonate with that.
but yeah, we like to just live in the moment. Like we make the memories, and it's not like we don't pull our phone out all the time. Like, oh, we got to get a picture of that, uh, unless it's like a once in a lifetime, never can recreate this
Mm.
thing. But we just like to live in the moment, and it's
Totally.
awesome. Yeah.
Totally.
Um. So, we don't want to keep you all night. Otherwise, I we will talk forever. This has been absolutely amazing.
I talk forever. I don't
Um,
mind. It's fine. I'm
uh, but
ready to edit the
but
episode down too, for the sake of continuity on your own channel. So
oh, you're fine. We
You're
will
fine.
definitely, yeah, we're definitely gonna double back to a second
okay,
episode with you.
there's a lot I haven't gotten to get around to. There's more I
Yes.
have to say,
Oh, that's
and I want to
perfect.
hear more about you guys. I feel like I talk most of the time.
Well, it's about you, not
Yeah.
about us.
About us. What are you talking about? We're making. We are you part of this process? We're making this together.
That is true.
It's true.
Yes. Um, but we were once told that the greatest gift that you can give another person is your time because it's the one thing you cannot get back. So we
Mm.
greatly appreciate you sharing your time with us this evening.
I felt like I was the fortunate one. I'm, I'm very very flattered by your words. Thank you.
So,
This is goodbye.
um,
Am I getting the boot? Am I getting out of here? What
no,
was that?
no, you're not
Oh no
getting
no
the
no
boot
Oh,
yet.
no.
No, no. If you'll stick with us for just a second, we'll do this quick outro.
I already said I was
Uh,
gonna do that. Okay, go ahead.
uh, Roger, you got anything?
As always, thank you guys. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe button. Just if you're on Spotify, give us 5 stars, get everything going out there a little bit more in the algorithm. But as always, thank you guys for the support. We love it. Without the support, we wouldn't be able to actually set stuff up like this and meet interesting people and hear great stories. Because we do have to talk more later on about some things, especially after the World Series, because I want to see what your thoughts are after the World Series.
Oh no.
Yes.
No, I
Oh,
had this joke when
yes.
I worked at the airport. Like, I'd be like, I think the Astros are gonna win, and then they got knocked out. And the next day, they're like, Hey, Spencer, how about the Astros, huh? And I'm like, and I would say, What are you talking about? What are you talking about baseball for? Baseball's not back till April. Like, like as soon as the World Series is over, like it doesn't exist anymore. Like, dude, football's happening. Why are you talking about baseball? It's weird. Weird, dude.
Yeah, baseball's not a thing right now. It doesn't exist.
Talking about,
Yes.
what are you talking about?
One thing, before we do go,
Oh, oh yeah.
if anybody wanted to follow you to see what your next project is, what convention you might show up at, or whatever, where would they go to find you?
I totally forgot to mention this one thing that's taken up like half my time. It's my YouTube channel. I do animations on my YouTube channel called 8-Bit Skits. It's pixelated animated skits, and it's really fun. And you hear myself and a lot of other Crunchyroll voice actors on those skits. 8-Bit Skits, the letter 8 dash bit space skits, 8-Bit Skits. You'll have better luck finding my channel under the shorts feed than you would under the video. It's mostly like vertical shorts on
Mhm.
YouTube. It's not a lot of the other social media apps, but I'm really good about YouTube and not the others. I just kind of post to the others because there's don't anyone else to post there for me. So 8-Bit Skits on
Link in the
X.
description.
Thank you, thank you. Link down below, guys. I'm on X, which is at Spence Liles, SpenceLales. Those are really the main two. If you want a book for conventions, you can find me on powelltalent.com. I'm repped by Wendy Powell. And if you're looking for work, you can reach out to me directly at my email, or you can email my agency, which is Linda McAllister, or Linda McAllister Talent I don't know I think it's like lmtalent.com is the I'm not sure I'm not actually sure. I can look at that computer right here. 1 second here. And
Link also in the description below.
it is this website. Yeah, it is lmtalent.com. Yeah. So lmtalent.com, powelltalent.com, 8-bit skits, and at Spencer Liles on X. Don't bother with Instagram. I hate it, and I hate most of the other ones too. I don't bother with it. That's where you can find me. And apparently at my clinic in Alabama that I practice surgery at. So
Yeah.
there too.
Yes.
You,
Yes.
you know, you're part time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Just on the side, I just do oncology. What does that guy do? Hold on. Another thing I'll say. Yeah, right here. What's he doing? You say health. Yeah, oncologist, surgical oncologist.
Oof.
That's important. Cancer care.
Yes.
So
Um,
was he at the top of the list today, or were you?
looks like I was,
Wow.
but
See.
yeah, right there, sweet. It changed depending on just what I was up to. But there's yeah, right there it says film director. It's
Mhm.
true. I do direct, but whatever. Like it's funny. Like there is no like way to say like media personnel, creative, whatever. But for the longest time, if you looked up Danny Chambers on Google, it would say Danny Chambers is an American voice actor born in San Bernardino, California, or Rancho Cucamonga. I think it's Palo Verde, wherever she's from, California. She's known to voice this, and this show and works for Crunchyroll. The little blurb, right? Mine was Spencer Liles is an American voice actor born in Houston, Texas. He is the husband of Danny Chambers, is what it would say. Like it's just defining me by being
Wow.
Danny's my because she has way more pedigree than I do, and that's fine. I'm not emasculated by that at all. It's actually been fun leapfrogging each other as far as like being the bread earner, like, and it's for both full time creatives. So there's nothing wrong with it at all. Although there was the week we're getting married, we told the directors of Crunchyroll, we're like, book us now, because we're gonna be busy. We're gonna be on honeymoon, whatever. I had 3 sessions that week, and I had 3 different directors, like all be like, "So you're taking her last name, right?" And by the third time, I was like, "Ha ha ha! Come on, guys, I hurt a little bit here. Like, I'm not expecting her to take my last name, but like, come on, what are we really saying here? Like, I get it. She's bigger than me. Jeez, jeez. No cons coming up right now, as far as I'm aware. I just did a bunch last year, but that doesn't help anything, does it? So, um, as soon as I know, you'll know. Sorry, we were like link in description. I'm like, let me tell you stories, and just kept on talking.
Oh,
No,
you're
no, no.
fine.
You're fine.
That's the best part about this podcast. We get
Yep.
to just keep hearing more.
Yes. Um. So yeah, like Roger said, please don't leave without leaving a like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that like button. Hit the bell to get notified. Say hi to his
Puppers.
puppies. Yes. Uh, and give Spencer a follow on Twitter, and definitely check out his YouTube channel. There's some really cool stuff over there. I was actually stalking it earlier today before this episode, before we hit the record button. So, but on that note, I'm Chip Hazard.
And I'm Roger Sierra.
He is Spencer Liles, and
Yeah,
this
college.
and this is Movement Radio.